Hi everybody, today I'm going to talk to you about one of the resources that we developed over the last 3 years, which we call Breaking Down the Brick Wall, and it's talking about a way to unpack something that's quite big that we can clearly see is distressing maybe our child or ourselves, and give us something visual. Again, we always make everything visual. It's really important part of the process, to help generate a conversation about something that is not okay. So a clear example of that would be where perhaps school or even work for an adult is obviously causing you some stress and overwhelm. And if you're going to be doing this with your child, that's the method that I'm going to show you. But it would be equally the same for an adult to do for themselves. So it's where perhaps you can see obviously from behaviours maybe first thing in the morning prior to school, or when they come home from school and you're dealing with quite an overwhelmed situation, that something in school isn't okay, and you'll have asked them several times, what is it, buddy? All right, what is it that isn't working here, sweetheart? I need to understand. And they'll go, I don't know, everything's okay. I don't want to talk about it, because with how their brains work, it just gets too big. They can't separate out the whole day. They just know something isn't okay, but they don't know where to go with being able to unpack that. So we're providing a tool that can unpack that, i.e. we're going to build a wall, the barrier, if you like, to why they're finding that particular experience difficult. And then bit by bit, we're going to take the wall apart. So as always, you need pen and paper. Okay, and in this particular instance, you'll need some scissors as well. So you're going to make some rectangles out of your paper that are effectively the bricks of the wall. Okay, they don't have to be very big, just sort of normal size. You could use like create a word table and then just cut the rectangles out if you wanted to do it that way. But basically you would then have in front of you a whole load of paper, rectangle bricks shapes, and on each brick you're going to write something that happens in school. So you may have a brick that's got the word art on it, or maths, or PE. All right, so your basic ones will be all of the lessons that they're actually accessing in school. Then you need to remember school day is about a lot more than just lessons. All right, so you're then going to add in all the other bits of their day. So leaving the house, walking to school, standing in the playground, or going on the school bus, or going to school in the car. All of those things first thing in the morning. Same for coming home. So leaving school, bus, car, walk, whatever your way of transporting backwards and forwards to school. All the other things are things like assembly, lunchtime. Now lunchtime comes in two parts. There's lunchtime eating and lunchtime playing. You've then got walking down a corridor, going to the toilets, all of these other, hanging up their coat, using the lockers. There could be many different parts, and you need to really think through their day and give them a brick for each part of that. You're then going to get 3 colours. Traffic light colours are the most obvious, so red, yellow and green, but they can choose their own colours at any point in time, as long as you know what the colour represents. So you're looking for a colour for things that they absolutely hate and they're really bad, a colour for things that, they're okay but they're not perfect, and a colour for things that are absolutely amazing and I love them. You're then going to get them to annotate your lovely set of bricks that you've now got all over the table with those different colours. Some children like to colour the whole brick in. Some might want to put just a dot in the corner. It doesn't really matter, as long as you're starting to get a picture of the things that they love, the things that, right, and the things that they really don't like about their day in school. Once you've got that, you're then going to build the brick wall with the bricks. Now, here is one that we done earlier, all right, as an example. This is one that's just been made out of a Word document. It wouldn't look as tidy as this necessarily when you're building it out of your little rectangular bricks. But basically you're going to put the bricks at the bottom for the things that they absolutely hate, all right. bricks in the middle for the things that are okay, and along the top the things that are absolutely amazing. So obviously we've got green for great, yellow, yeah, right, and red for the things that we really hate. You're then going to start a conversation to make the bricks start to go away, all right? So that you're breaking down the wall of the barrier that's causing them to be upset. So, for example, we always start with the green bricks. It's much easier to talk about things that are okay than the big stuff down the bottom of the things that aren't. So we start here. Now, these green bricks are really, really important, because as you talk through what is really, really great about art, all right, then you're going to be able to find out the things that also work. So, for example, why do you love art? Oh, I really like art because I find it really easy. Okay, that's fab. Can you explain why you find it easy? Well, the teacher is really kind. She always explains it really, really well, so I find that quite easy. Oh, right, that's really interesting. Tell me how she explains it if you find that really easy to understand. Well, she just uses short sentences and she doesn't make it into a big thing. Okay, where do you sit? Well, I actually I quite like where I sit in art, and I sit next to my friend John. He's really helpful with me, and we have a bit of a laugh at the same time. So you're gradually starting to build a picture, one, why they like art, but also all of the things that work for them, where they sit, how the teacher is. The teacher is kind. We'd often usually expand that a little bit as well. Why are they kind? Oh, well, they don't shout, and they're very calm, and they manage the class well. There are often things that we get come out at that point. So you're making notes under each of the lesson headings on a piece of paper as they're talking, all right? So you're starting to work out what's okay. You then make those green bricks obviously go away from the wall, and you're then going to unpack the yellow ones. Now, it's very possible that when we understand what the yellow one is, you might find that actually with what we've now learned from the green lesson, we could change something in that yellow lesson, and then we'd turn that into a green. So we're starting to be able to find solutions for them as well, which for their mental health is actually really important. That, okay, so actually if we approach somebody and ask for support, then we can change something about this lesson and make that more like this lesson. That's got to be a good step forward. So we've worked our way through yellow, and we're now going to hit our red bricks along the bottom. This is where it can get tricky, okay, because it can be quite difficult for sometimes to be able to unpack it. We'll often get things like, I just hate all of it. Okay, that can be really difficult then to unpack that, all right? So while you're working through your red bricks, if you do get a brick where it's like, it's just everything, I hate all of it, I hate all of it, I don't like it, I don't like it, make me feel sick. Can you tell me why? No, I can't. Okay, then just put that red brick to one side for now and carry on with the rest of them. You've now potentially got quite a picture of what's working in school and what isn't. Maybe learnt things that you didn't know. They may have learnt things themselves as well that they weren't able to express before, which in itself is a major step forward. Now let's go over to our red brick that maybe the lesson that they couldn't explain. It was just a big thing, and it was everything. Let's just say it's English, for example. Okay, so now you've got your brick of, I don't know what it is, it's just awful. We're going to turn that lesson into its own brick wall. Okay, so you'd then have another set of rectangular bricks, and on each brick write down everything that happens in English. So here we are. So we've got things like the room, writing, grammar, paragraphs, reading out loud, my teacher, poetry, who I sit next to, my support. You're writing down everything that happens in that lesson. And again, same process. You're just making another brick wall. Now, what's really quite stark, and this is one from an actual case, is that having unpacked that lesson where it was everything that is awful, we've actually only got 2 red bricks, which is quite reassuring for that child, but also quite reassuring for you, and is giving you a really clear idea of what we need to be doing in relation to feeding information back into school. Now, her 2 bricks were writing and who I sat next to. Okay, so writing, it hurts my hand. I find it difficult to finish everything that I want to say, and then I get really scared that I'm going to get told off that I've only written a small amount of information, and I'm really frustrated with myself because I haven't written everything that I want to say. And with the who she's at next to, that person's got a really squeaky voice. She's a lovely person. She's one of my friends, but sitting next to her in a lesson, the tone of her voice I find very distracting, and I find it quite difficult to access. Okay, now they were 2 easy things to solve. Giving her a laptop, moving who she sat next to. And all of a sudden, this lesson that was really awful was suddenly a lot better. Now, I know some of you are going to go, we can't do that all in one go. You don't have to, all right? You can just do colouring in the bricks one day and start the brick wall the next day. If you've got a child, I done a session once with a young lad with ADHD, and we unpacked a whole brick wall with him running round and round and round the table, and he was laughing his head off, but the information we got was incredible about us being able to understand what was going on with the particular thing that he was finding difficult. For those of you with pre-verbal children, then again, you can just, and you may need pictures of those lessons, widget symbols if that's the way forward, or just pull some images off that relate to those situations. And again, you're just perhaps asking them to point to the lessons that they love, and you can then annotate with colours. They're not necessarily, and that's a really good starting point to come from with a pre-verbal child, that you've at least got the things that they love and the things that they really don't. You would then be using your own observations and working with the teachers to work out why perhaps English is something that they're finding far more stressful than art. So you're not necessarily going to get the background information from a pre-verbal child of why those lessons aren't okay, but if you can start to slowly move them forward to be able to tell you the things that they love and the things that they don't, that is quite a big step forward. Now, in this particular example, we've obviously used school, but you can use this resource for anything. You know, if you can see they get very stressed out about going into a supermarket, or they get stressed out going to grandma's even, or just walking down the road to go to the co-op. It doesn't really, the library, swimming, doesn't matter what the thing is. If you're seeing from behaviour before and after that they're obviously feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and they're not able to explain why they're stressed and overwhelmed, and you need a tool to unpack that experience for them, then this is what you need. Makes it visual, makes it easy to understand, keeps them distracted and focused on seeing something while they're talking, and just make it into a game for them. They can then also see that they're able to solve a problem, which actually is incredible for that. And there's all other things that we would, if we were doing this as a specific training, there'd be a lot of other things that we would bring into this as a session. But I hope that you found this particular version of what we've talked about really helpful. It's been great to speak to you again, and if you're going to use this as a tool to talk about in your own training or whatever, it has got a copyright on it, so be very grateful if you could just mention that it came from Autism and ADHD, and then you're more than welcome to make use of it, obviously, because we want everyone to benefit from things. So thanks very much for listening, and look forward to speaking to you again in the next video. Thank you.